welcome, and this is the best audience that you will be and you have been this afternoon. Thank you very much for coming. The stage is yours.
I want to first of all thank Dr. Professor Cohen for his kindness, for his interest in having me today. Christina, thank you very much. I have heard a lot about you, the students of this institution, and this outstanding place. So it's an honor for me to be here, and I'm just very, very happy, and I want to thank you for inviting me. I want to share a few ideas with you today. Ideas that I used in my own life to build a number of successful career efforts, and ideas that I've taught to thousands of people. Young men and women are very important to me. Their success is very important to me. So I'd like to share these ideas and hope that you can use them and build outstanding things. We're going to, we don't have a lot of time together. We don't have a lot of time together, so what I'd like to ask is that if you hear something and it doesn't work, it's not clear, you don't understand it completely, stop me, challenge me. Because what we want to share today are ideas that I'd like you to take with you. You have a privilege to be part of an outstanding university. You're very fortunate. And what we'd like to talk about today are some of the things that you will use to complement, to put together with the excellent education you're getting here, so that you can build outstanding career success. It's all about that. My background is I was born and raised in New York City. I spent my first year of university at a small program in Israel. I continued at New York University, graduated there, did some honors work over there, then went into what was a small family business. When I went into the business, we were in the midst of a deep recession, not quite as bad as the one we're in now, but a very difficult time. There were 4 stores in the company. It was a retail company. We had a total of 4 stores, one of which was the biggest store, was being closed, and there was a union effort going on. So I started my company under very, very difficult conditions. Conditions that are not very different than what you have today. What I want to share with you is how to use the times we're in now and to take them and to grow and build with them. But to start, I want to ask you a question, if I can, because I was told by your founder and by my contact person here in Portugal that this is a group of very creative, artistic people. People who are doing very exciting things. So I want to change around the presentation a little bit and start with a question. What is the biggest risk you have taken, and when was it? What is the biggest risk you have taken, and when did you take that risk? Anybody? Anybody take a risk recently? Yes? Any risk?
Not that I remember.
Not? Okay. In the last 30 days, what risk did you take in the last 30 days? You have something? You think of a risk? Not sure? Anybody? Yes?
Well, it was many years before. It was like 5 years ago.
5 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was 18 and I moved to London without anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's risky. That's
Yes, it was, but it was good.
It's good. Yeah. Good. Anybody else? Risk. Yes.
She inspired me. I've left my home at 18 and I went to the Azores with anything also. And I started my company in 2005 when everybody was saying that it was a terrible time to start anything.
Fantastic. That's a risk taker. Fantastic. Who else? Who else? Yes.
I'm from Malawi and I used to work in events management and I was actually earning a lot of money, but I hadn't an educational degree, bachelor's degree, so I decided to come to Portugal and earn that degree.
Fantastic. There's an ancient saying that says that if you haven't had a disappointment in the last 30 days, if you haven't had a setback in the last 30 days, it means you're not challenging life enough. It means you're not taking risks. It means you're not raising your sights high enough to build outstanding things in your life. To leave a country, to leave a home, to start something during difficult times, that's the kind of risk-taking that we each need to excel at these times. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the world right now. And 2008, there was the biggest financial collapse in modern history since the Great Depression. And in practical terms, the way the world worked, from a market point of view, from an economic point of view, completely changed. Anything that was before is no more. The things that you could use to build your career in the past are no more. There was a dramatic shift. And what happened was that things became greatly unstable. And it's now 5 or 6 years later, and we're still in the depths of this Great Recession. So what do? How do you build? How do you grow? Our countries are being austere. They're cutting back. They're cutting back on services. They're raising taxes. More people than ever are in our institutions studying, trying to get ahead. What do? How do you build? How do you break through? There was an interesting article in the Harvard Business Review a few months ago which said the following. Said that many people have technical and practical skills. Many people have the opportunity to be trained. But what makes the difference today between someone who just makes it, or maybe doesn't, and someone who has outstanding success is how they think, is how they dream, is how they build, is how they take risks. So that's what we want to talk about tonight. How do you take risks? How do you think? How do you dream? How do you build? There's a new reality among us, and that is that the competition is greater than ever before. There is no local marketplace anymore. Whatever you do, you will be competed against by people all over the world. When I built my retail company, I was competing against retailers within a few blocks of my stores. Today, I compete against people who sell merchandise from everywhere on the planet. So the local marketplace is now global. The competition is greater than ever before. The access to knowledge is greater than ever before. You can take courses from some of the best schools on the world for free. It used to be that knowledge was accessible by only a limited amount of people. Now it's accessible to everybody. But at the same time, that means that your opportunities are global. It means your possibilities are greater than ever. It means that you can take your craft, your skill, your creative ability, and you can sell it, you can work it, you can reach just about everyone on the planet. It's an extraordinary time. So here we are. Let's look at where we are. We're in the depths of a recession. The unemployment rate has not improved in the last 5 years. And the truth of the matter is, it really is not going to improve very much for a number of years to come, because when you do an algorithm of how many people are coming into the job market and how many jobs can be created, it's going to take many years to create enough jobs to bring the unemployment rate down to what we call full employment, which is below 5%. Very, very challenging time. Companies have pulled back. Individuals have pulled back. things are not stable. But at the same time, there have been more entrepreneurial efforts, more individuals starting things on their own than ever before in history. There have been more successful attempts by individuals to begin to build their own companies, to take their own ideas and run with them than ever in history. So it's a very interesting time. If you're trying to get a job, very, very hard. If you have the courage to build your own dream, to start your own company, to go out and realize what you'd like most to do, you have a great possibility of making it happen. So what we want to talk about this evening is, how do you become that person who can use the good things that our recession has brought, who can utilize a global economy, who could be an entrepreneur, a risk taker, someone who will take the outstanding training and education that you're getting in this wonderful university and use it to the utmost. That's what we're going to do tonight. Good? Good. Okay, let's do a little exercise. Everyone stand up, please. Everyone stand up. I'd like to ask, if you can, everybody, to whatever extent you can, reach down and try and touch the floor. Reach down as best you can and touch the floor. Down. Difficult with the desk. Do the best you can for now. For 1 second, reach down, try to touch the floor. Right, excellent. Okay. Reach down, do the best you can. I can't get there. Try to touch the floor. Okay, now reach up and try to touch the ceiling. The ceiling. Higher. Higher. Got it. Reach higher. Everybody, no panic. Everybody in this room should be able to touch the ceiling. Reach higher. Don't break it. Reach higher. Come on, you can do it. Stretch, 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 stretch. Stretch your hips. Stretch your legs. Stretch your shoulders. Higher. Come on. A few more minutes. Stretch. Higher. Push. Push. Come on. Push. Push with your shoulders. Push. 1 more minute. There you go. From the hips. Get to the ceiling. Put your palms flat on the ceiling. Push. A little bit more. A little bit more. Some of you have done it. Okay. What was that exercise about? What would you say? Why did I ask you to do that? Why? Why did you do that exercise? What would you say?
Because we think that we can do this, and maybe we do or can't.
Fantastic. Perfect. Perfect. Because what most of us think is we can reach down a little bit. But when we reach down, there's a bottom. There's a floor. There's a limit. But when we reach up and we stretch, had I kept you stretching for a few more minutes, you would have, most of you would have touched the ceiling. Some of you would have been able to push up the tiles. I don't know if our president would have appreciated that. Some of you would have been able to push up the tiles. And all of you would realize that when you push hard and when you really want to stretch, you can reach points that you couldn't imagine before. You can reach a height that you couldn't imagine possible. And how does it feel when you do it? How did it feel? You didn't do it? How did it feel just stretching?
I feel good.
You feel what?
Trying.
Feel?
Great.
It feels good, right? Good. Excellent. What else does it feel? Yes?
Yes, it feels great.
It's a good stretch, right? What else does it feel? It feels good. What else does it feel? What? Huh?
I feel taller.
Huh? You feel taller. You literally do feel taller. Excellent. What else do you feel?
And
What-
to what point we can reach our objective.
Right. Perfect. So when you stretch, it's hard. It's hard to stretch. It's not easy. It's a strain, right? But when you finish it, you literally feel taller. Now I want to just tell you over a quick case study that some behavioral scientists did a few years ago. They took a number of fleas, right, number of bugs, and they put them in a jar like this, a glass jar with a glass lid. And they let them hang out in the jar for about a week or so. And what would you think happened while these fleas were in the jar with the lid on it? What happened? No, they didn't die. No, they had the ability to breathe and to eat and whatever. It wasn't about killing bugs.
They
Yeah.
tried to find a way out.
Huh?
They tried to find a way out.
Well, what happened when they couldn't find a way out?
They kept.
No, what did they do? They could not find the way out. There was a glass lid on top. So what did they do? What do you think? Huh? What did they do? What would you imagine? They learned to circle around and around in the jar. Because when they tried to hit the glass lid, they couldn't move it. They couldn't push through it. They were stuck. Right? Good. So what did scientists do after 2 weeks? They took the lid off the jar. And then what happened to the bugs inside? Perfect. Nothing happened. They kept flying around and around the same way. Nothing. Not one bug left the jar. The lid stayed off for hours and hours and hours. Nobody got the message. What am I trying to say here?
But now, even if there are some new markets, some people, they're still staying thinking that everything is stopped.
Beautiful, beautiful, perfect. Most people, particularly at a time like this, are looking down, are looking back, are circling around the same place they were for 3 or 4 or 5 years. They're frightened, they're risk adverse, they get more conservative, more cynical, and even if the glass ceiling isn't there, which it isn't, they make believe that it is. Most people in the world today, during this financial crisis, are afraid, are not looking up, are not stretching to get intellectually or creatively taller. They're shrinking. They're becoming more frightened. They're looking down. They're looking back. They're circling around and around in the same place without ever knowing that the glass lid is not there. So I want to tell you something. I started my first company in a very bad recession. And I went through 3 recessions since then. And in each recession, I built companies, even though I had been very hurt by each recession. And I'll tell you, if we have time later, about the worst of them, which was in 2008. It was a catastrophic failure for me. I was in the eye of the storm. Everything I had done basically for 30 years was wiped out when the market in America collapsed in 2008. I was exactly in the wrong place on every single issue. At the same time, recessions are the perfect time to build businesses. There's more money in the market than there are good ideas. It's very important to know. Even though in this last financial collapse, trillions of dollars disappeared, the reality is today there's more money out there than there are good ideas. People and services can be purchased cheaper than they could 8, 9 years ago. The possibilities are phenomenal. And I want to tell you exactly why, and then I'm going to tell you how to use them. About 200 years ago, people used to farm, or they used to take care of cattle and sheep and those kind of things. So depending how hard the person worked with his or her hands, that's what they would eat, right? You tilled the field, you ate the vegetables. You didn't go to work, you didn't eat. Very simple. 50 years or so later, let's say 150 years ago, we had what we call the Industrial Revolution, which meant that it became understood that if you put 6 people together, for example, they collectively would do much more than each could do individually, right? We called that the Industrial Revolution. It was a breakthrough. If 6 people work in 6 different places, they can achieve X. But if we put them all together in one place, not that we can achieve 6 times X, we can achieve 25 times X. That was a great breakthrough. Then we reached another stage in the human being's ability to grow in the market, and that was a stage where whatever he or she built would continue to have value even after their efforts were done. So people built great educational institutions like this. People built brands. People bought buildings. And even when they stopped working on those assets, the value that they had created continued. That was remarkable. That was a remarkable thing. A person stopped working, but the value he had created lived well beyond his efforts, well beyond his time. Now, as of 2008, we've reached a whole new point in the human being's ability to impact the market, and I think it speaks perfectly to the men and women in this school. Now we're at a point in time where the most powerful thing in the market is an idea. The most important possibility is someone to have the courage to articulate an idea and to have the courage to make that idea happen. There are people, there are men and women on the planet today whose idea and the successful execution of that idea made them more wealth and power than real estate companies that own hundreds of buildings. How's it possible? A woman with an idea could amass more money, more influence than a real estate company that owns hundreds of thousands of square meters of buildings? How's that possible? It's possible. In fact, anybody ever hear of Bill Gates? Yeah, who is he? One of the founders of Microsoft, right? Right? Good. Bill Gates has more money than 140 of the 164 countries in the world. One man, and there are several people, in fact, that have more money than countries. How's that possible? If you take the foreign reserves of a country and you take the bank account of certain people, the people are richer than the country. Who would ever imagine? A country has millions of people, has natural resources, has an army, has buildings, has corporations. How can it be? No, that's the time we live in. An idea is more powerful, is more precious than ever. Knowledge is more precious than ever. Creativity is the new world order. Smart is the new rich. This is where we are. So creative, talented people, if they have the courage to really articulate their creativity, to bring their ideas out, they have a greater possibility at success than ever before. And the success they achieve will be unprecedented. So how do we get there? You have to start with asking yourself a question. And the question goes like this. If I could do anything at all, if I didn't have to worry about the present day reality, about how much money I have, about what people will think of my idea, if I could suspend the present reality, ignore it, for just a few minutes, what would I do? Sounds like such a simple question, right? If I didn't have to worry about money, about what people thought, about paying my bills, about my lack of experience, about my lack of money to make this idea happen, if I didn't have to worry about any of that, what would I do? Now, what I've suggested to people for 30 years, thousands of men and women, and what I'd like to suggest to each of you is that this is the most important question that you will ever ask yourself in terms of your career or life direction. The question takes a lot of courage. If I could do anything at all, it's a scary question. What do you mean? I can't do anything I want. Why should I ask such a question? The reality is, if you read the books of great thinkers and leaders from the beginning of time, each one, men and women, professional, business, political, spiritual leaders, have asked themselves that question in one version or another. If I didn't have to worry about what's happening today, if I could ignore all of the things that really can't be ignored, what would I do? It's a spectacular question. It's where it all starts. What do most people do? Most people will see what's going on in the market. They'll understand where the openings are or where the new possibilities are. And they'll chase those things. What does a career leader do? What does an outstanding business person or professional do? He puts on some great music. I used to listen to Yanni, but I understand Yanni's like out. You don't even know Yanni's a pianist. Sorry. He's done. Guess he's done. You know Yanni?
Is he a pianist?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Anyway, I used to listen to Yanni, blasting headphones. Take a walk in a beautiful place. You live in a magnificent city. It's my first time here, my first day here. The city is so beautiful. Parks and the buildings, it's so inspiring. Put on some great music, take a walk around one of the beautiful parts of the city, and ask the question. And then a very hard thing happens. You have to answer the question without using your mind, without using your logic or your reason or your rationale. Why? Why do you ignore the faculty that we use for everything else when we answer this question? Why do we ignore that? Why? You ask a tough question. You need a real answer. Why would you ignore your mind? Why would you ignore logic? Why would you ignore reason? Why? Why did you do it when you started your company? Why?
Because you're going to think that if you rationalize, the fear is going to come.
Right. Because if you answer this question with your mind, with your logic, with your reason, with the capacity that we use to do everything else, you will never do it. Because you'll come up with all kinds of logical, reasonable, rational excuses to drop it. So, first thing, we have to have the courage to ask the question. Then, we have to suspend logic, ignore reality, and we have to answer the question with what the ancient scholars called a person's higher will, a person's gut, a person's intuition, a person's heart, the capacity that we use when we fall in love. You don't fall in love with your brain. I know some people who fell in love with their brain, right? They had a list. This is what I love about her. This is what I don't love about her. It was rational. It was logical. And they couldn't get there. They couldn't commit to that person. When you decide to give your love to another person, to attempt to build your life with another human being, you don't use your brain. Use your heart. The biggest decision you'll make in your life, you suspend logic. Because you can't make a commitment like this, make those great life decisions with your mind. Your mind is a functional capacity. It's not a leading capacity. So what I suggest, and I've suggested to many, many people, is start by asking the question, And then answer the question with your gut, with your heart, with your intuition, with your higher will. Don't answer the question with your head. You'll kill it. You'll come up with all kinds of reasons and excuses why it can't happen. And that's exactly what most people do. Some people are afraid to ask the question. Others have the courage to ask the question, but they answer it with their brain. This will never happen because. This can't be because. I don't have the money, I don't have the experience, we're in a recession. They'll put together 10 reasons or even 2 to kill the idea. That's not how a leader thinks. That's not how an entrepreneur thinks. That's not how someone who wants to stretch creatively, intellectually, who wants to reach, who wants to break beyond that glass ceiling that never really existed. In order to do that, we have to suspend logic and answer the question with our higher will. Good? Okay? Now, you would say, all right, now I have an unrealistic dream, a seemingly unachievable goal. Now what? Now great stuff starts to happen. Because I've challenged life, I've taken a risk, and now what do I do to turn that risk into a great possibility and a new reality? I dedicate 5 hours a week to make this dream happen. I dedicate 5 hours a week to turn my seemingly unreasonable goal into practical possibility. So it goes like this. Everybody has 5 hours a week. In America, the average American spends 5 hours a day watching television. 5 hours a day. I don't watch any television. So that means there's somebody watching television 10 hours a day. Right? If I'm not watching any. Right? When I taught this to officers in the United States Navy, when I taught it to senior managers at Chase Manhattan Bank, when I taught it to outstanding performers at MetLife Insurance Company, some of the greatest companies in the world, these people are very busy as each of you are. They have 40 to 50-hour commitments. They have family. They have social lives. It's true. But everybody's got 5 hours a week. Everybody's got it. Now imagine Ricky 1 and Ricky 2. I'm Ricky, right? So imagine Ricky 1 and Ricky 2. Ricky 1 doesn't have the courage to ask the question. And if he asks the question, he doesn't have the courage to answer it with his gut, with his intuition, with his heart. And if he asked the question and answered it, then he won't get in the game. He won't commit the time. So he's stuck. He's subjected to the goings and comings of the market. If things are bad, he's going to get fired. If things are good, he's going to keep his job. Because he's part of the flow of the market. Ricky 2, on the other hand, asks the question. And he has the courage to answer the question without tapping into his mind. And then he has even greater courage to use his mind to put together a 5-hour-a-week plan. Ricky 2 is going to make things happen. Ricky 1 says, I don't know how to get there. I can't imagine how to get there. But Ricky 2, after the first week, spending 5 hours and putting 5 facts on the ground. I spend 5 hours, and within that 5 hours, I do 5 things to make it happen. I have a new idea on a consumer product. I have a new idea on a IT product. I have a new idea on how to conserve water. I have a new idea on how to build a bridge. I don't have the money to make it happen. I don't have the experience. Where do I come off having an idea like this? The answer is, start making the idea a reality. Spend 5 hours a week and do at least 5 things. So what happens is fantastic. Whereas when you first thought of the idea, you couldn't imagine how to get there. You could imagine maybe the first or second step. But then what happens, you take the first, second, maybe third step that first week. And now when you're standing there, having taken a couple of steps, now that you're in it, well, now you can see the 5th step. And then the second week, you put a few more facts on the ground. You take a few more steps, logical, practical steps, to make your reality real. Well, now you can see the 10th step. It's spectacular. When you challenge life and you get in the game, you commit, you do, then you can see, then you can affect. Somebody give me an idea of something they've dreamed about doing, something they would love to do but seems impractical. Anybody? Who has asked himself or herself that question and came up with an answer? You did?
Yeah.
What was it?
And that was about my idea.
What was it?
Opening a spa in India, a new business spa.
Fantastic. And what did you do with the idea?
Still thinking about my bachelor degree.
Thinking about your bachelor's degree, right?
Yeah, first.
Okay. Why do you want to open a spa in India?
Well, because I'm working within the cosmetic area.
Working within, great.
Yeah.
And how does it feel when you think about the spa? How does it feel?
Well, it's good.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Great, great. So now, what's your name?
Windalina.
Windalina?
Yeah.
Windalina would to do the following. She's working on a bachelor's degree. It's hard work, right?
Yeah.
You're working hard. Good.
Yeah.
If she were to take 5 hours a week and begin to build this dream, what might she do? What might you do if you dedicated 5 hours this week to doing this? What would you do?
Started thinking about all the details, probably.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Excellent. You start to think about all the details. Fantastic. And you start to take notes, right?
Yeah.
And write down the ideas, right?
Yeah.
And then what would happen?
Nothing.
Nothing? What would happen the second week when you have 5 hours to spend?
Probably doing some researches.
Somewhat?
Some researches about
Beautiful.
yeah.
Resources. Where do I get product? How does it work in the spa industry? So you can have a beautiful idea, and then it just goes nowhere, or it dies. Most good ideas die soon after they're born, which is terribly unfortunate, because they're good, and they can bring great success and fulfillment to the person. So, what you should consider doing is dedicate 5 hours every week, and it's hard. When I was doing this, I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning. It was hard, but I was doing something I didn't want to do. I had a dream on what I wanted to do, and by dedicating 5 hours a week, just 5 hours out of a week of, what is that? A week is 168 hours. All I did was dedicate 5 hours. I ended up making things happen, learning new things, putting the steps together, becoming more expert in the area, to a point where the 5 hours became 10, and the 10 became 20, and I was living my dream. And this is how it works. And this is how you build. So, to recap, with your permission, we're going to go 15 minutes more? Is that okay? To recap, we're in a very challenging time. The market is extremely unstable. There are 2 types of people out there today. People who are victims of the market, who are afraid, who are, don't know what really to do, trying desperately to hold on to a reality that doesn't exist anymore, to what was a few years ago. And then there are the people who recognize that it's a perfect time to stand up, to reach far, and to consider a possibility that you never dreamed possible before. We want to be part of the second category. Read the books of most great successes, whether they be business or professional. The overwhelming majority of successes started in a recession. The overwhelming majority of great business, professional efforts started in an unstable market. Now is the time. So you want to be part of those people that use this opportunity to grab something incredible. You start by asking the question, if I could do anything at all, if I didn't have to worry about what's really going on around me, what would I do? You answer the question with your heart, not with your head. And then you dedicate 5 hours a week. You try to make 5 things happen each week. And every time you make something happen, you become more fulfilled. You become more confident. You step forward. You stand taller. You're closer to your dream. And you can see the future steps more clearly. Steps that you couldn't see before, because now you're in the game. That's how we build. It takes courage. And then we do a couple of other things. We bring along a success buddy. And this is very important. Even though this is your thing, this is your dream, this is your great career possibility, you can't do it on your own. So it's essential to find a person who doesn't necessarily want to do this, but knows you and believes in this idea and will help you and will be there for you. Because the human being, as strong as we each are, and as great as our capacity to do remarkable things, we need others. We need partners. We need buddies. That partner isn't necessarily the person you love most in the world. It isn't necessarily your forever partner, your spouse, your parent. Most of the time it isn't. It's a great educator that you met in this building. It's a business mentor who cares about you and believes in this approach. Everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs a success buddy. So you want to make something spectacular happen? Have the courage to dream. Have the courage to ask and the courage to answer. Have the courage to get in the game. And then have the courage to reach out to other people who have been placed in your life and let them help you. And then one more point on this, and then we're going to talk about one other key area and wrap up. There are many people in the world who go down this road up until this point and still don't make it happen. And the reason is because they have to be perfectly ready before they begin. So most people are preparing, aiming for years. It's not exactly right. Every word in the book is not perfect. So what do? Ready, aim, 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 aim. They keep trying to get it exactly right and never open the business. They never move. So, what are great entrepreneurs? What have they done throughout time? They reverse the order. Ready, fire, aim. Get ready. Get yourself pretty much on target. And then do it. Jump in the water. Open the doors. Make it happen. Provide the service for friends and family. Do it for free. Get in the game. Because many people have the courage to come very far, and then they spend years aiming until they give up. Because it's never going to be perfect. By the way, it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to happen. So what do? Get ready. Spend the 5 hours a week, maybe for 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year, whatever it takes. Aim. Get the product or the service pretty well set up in your head. And then jump in the game. Give your services for free. Give the product at cost. It ain't perfect. It doesn't matter. You're in it. You're living it. You're building it. It's alive. It's alive. I know a guy who's writing a book for 35 years. Now, what would happen if you got the book out and you had to change some of it? So what? Thousands of people would have gained by it. You would have filled your heart by fulfilling this great dream. No, it's not perfect. Never going to be perfect. Not supposed to be. Ready, fire, aim. Get in the game, make it happen. Now, I want to bring one other key point that you'll see in the book as well. This is something that I've said to my children many times. I've said it to all the people I've taught, all the people I care about, and even though we're just meeting each other now, I want to say it to you as well. Accept it with true caring and great respect. I wish you all, each and every one of you, a giant public failure as soon as possible. I'll repeat again, in case some of you didn't hear me. I wish this for my children, did many times. I wish this for my business associates. I wish it for my students. And I want to wish you the same thing, and it comes with real care and sincerity. I wish you a giant public failure as soon as possible. Now, why would I do that? Why would I do that?
That's when you learn.
Fantastic. Life's best teacher, or one of its best teachers, is failure. The bigger the failure, the bigger the lesson. So if you have a giant failure, it means that there's a great life lesson that will come from that failure. There's something immeasurably important that will now be yours as a result of that failure. So you want to build, you want to be a risk taker, you want to be a leader in your career, have a giant failure. Great gift that life can give you. Why public? Why should your failure be in front of all the people you care about? All the people whose opinions you respect. Why? Why should your failure be public?
Because if you hid it, you'll never be criticized about it.
You'll never be criticized, true, and you're almost there.
You want to show them your value.
You want to show them your values, excellent, and, come on.
Never gonna fail again.
No, you're going to fail again, I hope. I hope you're going to fail again.
And we will work to make our family and friends proud.
True, you will, but it's even more than that, yes.
Try to understand the failure
Yes,
and try to make possible.
true, but one more point, yes.
Because we've reached the bottom and we have nothing to lose.
Beautiful, beautiful. Because when you fail in public, in front of everybody you care about, it's basically that you're standing naked in front of everybody, right? Which means that they've taken everything from you that they can take. In terms of your career, they can't take anything more from you. So in fact, you're free. You're liberated. You're not afraid anymore. What a great place to be in life. Thankfully, and I say this with all my heart, just that most of the failures I've had have been giant and have been public. And my wife asked me an interesting question a few months ago, because I had a giant failure in 2008. She said, if you could go back to 2008, erase the failure, make back all the money you lost. I lost what I made in 30 years of business. Make it all back. Not have any of that stress or pressure, but you would have to give up the lessons that you learned. Would you take it? I didn't even have to think about it. I said, absolutely not. I said, my only regret about the giant public failure I had in 2008 is what? Is that I didn't have it sooner. It didn't happen as soon as possible. I wish I had it earlier. Because when you have that giant public failure, you learn immeasurable lessons. And you're not afraid anymore. You're not afraid. Because they took everything they could from you. And you're standing. So you brush off your bruised knees, you dry your tears, you get up, and you're free. And you build. And you have great power and possibility. So how do we approach failure? This is very important. We say it in the book very clearly, and that is shed, shed, save. Shed, shed, save. It means the following. After you've had a giant public failure, you shed, get rid of any feelings of guilt, of self-judgment, of lack of confidence. Get rid of it. It doesn't belong. It's a debilitator. It's something that breaks a person. It has no value. None. Feelings of judgment and guilt are anti-human. They have no value. Ditch them. Shed them. Get rid of them. The second thing you shed is the experience itself. It happened yesterday. It happened a week ago. Happened a month ago. Who cares? It's gone. It's over. Next. Shed. Over. Done. What do you save? What do you save? You know what you save. What do you save? What do you save? Yeah? You save the lesson. Yeah, perfect. That's all you need to save. Judgment, guilt, self-harassment, that's not human. That's anti-human. That has no value. Get rid of it. Be as kind to yourself in forgiving yourself as you would be to a stranger. People forgive strangers easier than they forgive themselves. Doesn't make any sense. Guilt, self-judgment is anti-career. It's anti-leadership. It's anti-success. Get rid of the guilt, self-judgment. Get rid of the experience. Doesn't matter anymore. It's done. It's yesterday. It's a week ago. Next. Out. Hold on to the lesson. The lesson should be cherished. So when I come back here at some point in time, if our founder and president is willing to ask me back at some point, I'm going to open the session again, and I'm going to ask you what risks you've taken and when you last took a risk. And what I'd like to hear from each of you is that you took the ideas that we spoke about today and you made them yours. And you've become professional entrepreneurs, real-life risk takers. And I can assure you that to the extent that you challenge life and you demand of life and you're willing to reach and stretch real tall intellectually, creatively, and grab that idea and make it happen, life will reward you. Because that's really what it's about. We have to break out. We have to be leaders. It's scary. It's fantastic. It's what life is really about. We have to challenge. We have to dream. We have to try. And with that, great things will happen. So I want to thank you all very, very much. If anybody has any questions, we'll take them quickly. And I think we have a book for each of them. Do you have the book? Document?
We didn't get them.
Huh?
We're not able to get them.
Okay. So we would like to give a free book to each of you who came to the session tonight.
I'll
So-
get them.
Or maybe if everybody would just write their name on a list, and we could, we'd like to give a free book with these ideas to each and every one of you. We'll get it here. If it's not in the country, because we ship them, if they're not here, we'll get them here in the next couple of days. And there'll be a gift from me to you so that you can read up more about the ideas we talked about and really make them yours. Good? Any questions? Any questions? Concerns? Huh?
We have about 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
I just want to tell, for me it was an honor to hear you.
Very good. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you
It's
very
an honor
much.
for
each of
the
you.
to receive you here. And I think it's very fantastic ideas that you explained. And I hope for all of us, some of these ideas maybe our project in your future, because you have the world in your front, and all is possible in this world.
He cares about you very deeply. You're very, very fortunate to be in such an outstanding institution. So I want to thank you, and I enjoyed getting to know you a little bit tonight, and I really, I wish you great things. Thank you.